Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Lee Cara, and this is a very special broadcast of Unleash Your Light. I have an amazing guest with me. I'm going to pop that right there. There we go. His name is Gerald A. Pimpleton, and he is bringing such an amazing message today. I'm going to make sure that we are live. I hope everyone is having a fabulous day. I know here where I'm at on the East Coast, we got some snow. I still get so excited about the snow. I don't know about the rest of you guys, but I get so excited about snow because I lived in Florida for almost 30 years. So to me, man, that snow is magic still. I feel like I'm a little kid. Now you're a little further south than me, right, Gerald? Did it snow where you were?
Yes, I am. I live on Folly Beach Island, so I am 3 blocks from the Atlantic Ocean, and only further south you can get is Georgia and Florida.
Oh, there you go.
So I like to say I live at the edge of the United States, and but it is a bit nippy. As you can see, I have a sweater on because we hit 30s, low 30s this morning.
Very nice. And we caught Gerald in transit. So
Yes.
unfortunately, he did not make it home in time for the broadcast. We're even coming on a tiny bit late, you guys. So I appreciate you sticking around. Now, I'm taking a moment to share. If you have someone in your life that has some questions and some issues with their wealth, okay, then this is the show that you need to get to. We all have blockages, we all have issues with that. It is a very difficult thing to reconcile the spirituality and the spiritual side of us with money, materialism, with having stuff, right? So I'm going to take our names down here so everybody can see what the heck is going on. I want them to see your handsome face there. All right. And so Gerald, I'm going to let him introduce himself, but he has both sides of this because us in the spiritual world, like I said, we tend to get a little woo woo about things, and we tend to focus on things that are, oh, it's all an illusion, and materialism isn't doesn't mean anything. Or if you're a hippie culture person, you're thinking like, oh, money is the enemy, man, peace. So we have this in our head already that's almost repelling that positive energy from coming to us. And just you guys introduce yourselves to each other, interact on things. I see you guys down there. Hello, Amber, Kelly, Christy, Lorney Lee, Becky Stryker, Jessica, Sue. Thank you so much for joining us live. I'm gonna let Gerald go ahead and introduce himself and tell you a little bit about his nuts and bolts history and shifting that into that energy to where he is today.
I am so excited to share this with you guys because, like you said, Lee, I'm a bit of both sides. And I've actually gone from the analytical side. I've spent 15 years in financial services, everything from personal finance to corporate finance. Um, and I'm licensed in a whole bunch of stuff. Like I tell people all the time, you know what? You don't ask your doctor how did he graduate in the class, whether the top of the class or the bottom of the class. He's still an MD. But the 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 big thing is that I was raised in a very strict um, religious background and taught some very, very strict ideologies about wealth. And I discovered I began my financial career and found out that they just didn't match up. It just did not mix. It didn't match because what I was taught and being raised in a single parent home, I was taught the get by mentality. We have enough to just get by. That's all we need. And there was so much guilt and shame associated with wanting more, that I was raised feeling that I didn't deserve it. And then getting into the financial sector, uh, I'm working with portfolios of people that have millions of dollars and billions of dollars. I'm like, why not me? What's wrong? What am I doing wrong? What did I do wrong? I've just been breathing. That's all I've been doing. What did I do wrong? Why? You know, that type of thing. And I started digging to find out what was the issue? Was the world the issue? Was the economy the issue? Was my geographic location, my bloodline, where I was born? How can I fix that? And to discover solely that the issue was just me. It was just here. And then I went about learning the, you know how we do. We want to get the actual tools or the tricks or the, I need to know the right stock. I need to know the right trick. I need to know um, the business that's going to give me. I need to start the right business, the right niche. If I can do that, and come to find out that the things that block wealth in most people, 99% of people, have nothing to do with what you picked. It has everything to do with who you decide to be.
Wow, that's powerful right there, you guys. I hope you made a note of that. That 99% of the time, it is not the business or the money-making plan that you pick. It is the person that you choose to be. And that's what we're going to talk about today, is that Gerald has come across these things, and you've probably heard a lot of it in the energy of the laws of attraction, and you hear Abraham Hicks talk about it. You hear a lot of people on this channel talk about their energy, but it is very difficult when it's emotional stuff. I talk about that too, but all about the emotional things, right? But to then take that and apply them to something that is as materialistic as wealth, something that we have so many preconceived notions about. That's where that hang up comes in, I think. And I know for me, it certainly does. That thing you were talking about, how we have just enough. We used to have this thing, in our family, and, I worked in restaurants, so we never had a whole heck of a lot of money, but I would always say, I would always worry and I would fret, and we're just barely getting by. But then I literally said, we're going to shift that to saying we always have enough. Okay. So then we never worried again. Like, I didn't worry about it, and all the bills got paid, and it wasn't a big deal, because I just kind of said, we always have enough. I am ready to make that shift into the next section of it. So that's why I was so excited to bring you on here, because I know a lot of people out there are at that point where they've been surviving, they're getting by, but they're ready to step into that energy of wealth, because it's not just about our emotions that hold us back and the way we think about ourselves emotionally with our relationships, but it happens, how we feel about ourselves blocks the material world as well.
It really, really does. And oftentimes, that I've come across just 5 keys that I believe that really that really change the dynamic of wealth. Because I'm a huge Aber. I'm a huge Aber. I eat and breathe it. I've been on a couple cruises. But really, with the LOA, with the law of attraction, what you hit the nail on the head. It's difficult for us. It's easy for us to actually use those things to heal the inner child, to heal our past hurts, to apply to relationships, to apply to all of those different things. But when it comes to something like manifestation of wealth, it's a different ball game for us, because,
Right.
believe it or not, there's so much emotion tied into our money.
Right. And here, look, we have somebody who's already commented on that. She says, financial wealth was never my goal. And Linda, I'm right there with you, because you know what I thought? If I focus on money, then I'm not focusing on the spiritual message. And I can't do both. That's how I'm in my moment of having, is thinking that if I'm spiritual, then I can't be focused on the material. And it's not about focusing on the material, I have learned from speaking with Gerald and from watching him do this, but it really is the same thing that we do to emotionally heal ourselves. All you're doing is like removing the dam so that the natural abundance can flow towards you, right? So Gerald has found these 5 things. I have the little thing scrolling right there, 5 things that are blocking the manifestation. And I'm a person that when I talk about manifestation, I don't think, I want a particular house, I want it to be like this. It's more about removing the blockages. So whatever is supposed to come to me to aid me on my journey, to make me be able to fulfill my purpose, I remove those blocks and let it flow. And this material part is the part that I'm stuck on a little. So I'm super glad you're here. I'm gonna put the first one up. Are you ready, Gerald?
Yes, because she led us effortlessly amazing segue
Thank you.
to the first one. That question was awesome. That statement was awesome because oftentimes people feel, I don't focus really. It's never my goal. Wealth was never my goal. I never wanted to be a millionaire. I never wanted to be a billionaire. Material wealth was never my goal. And when you dig deeper, oftentimes, and I'm not saying it applies to everyone, but guilt has a lot to do with it. It really has a lot to do with it. And I'm going to say this, I like to say tweetable moment. I love this statement. And this is not mine. I would like to take credit for it. But I honestly believe that secrecy and guilt is the petri dish of shame.
Yeah.
And we often feel guilty for wanting more than what we think we deserve.
Right.
It has nothing to do with, oftentimes we put on the jacket of martyr, of a martyrdom. I only need enough. We just need enough to live a happy life. We just need enough to live a whole life. My kids are happy, and we actually drape that statement in gratefulness when actually that statement is, I don't think I deserve it. And if I actually go for it, or if I say I do, then I feel guilty in focusing on me. And that's not selfless.
Right, right. Mabon just said exactly that she's been thinking about a house and that she was worried about it, but then she started just saying that she's just open and she's grateful. And that's exactly what you just said, is that we drape our feelings of not being worthy with being grateful for just having enough.
Right.
Yeah.
And literally what happens with that guilt, that actually what we often don't understand is that the way law of attraction works, the fact that you have a desire for something, and don't ever think that the universe doesn't know your desires. Just because you don't say it, just because you don't admit it to yourself, just because you don't admit it to other people, just because you approach life and relationships in the sense of, oh no, I'm meek, I'm mild, I don't want much, you don't need to do much for me, I'm okay, I don't need this, I don't, because that may be your way that you approach. Trust me, the universe knows.
Right.
The
Right.
universe knows. The
Yeah.
universe knows that you really, really have no good reason for wanting that brand new leather couch that you fawn over and you stop and you look at every time that you're in the area,
Mm-hmm.
and you talk yourself out of it. You say, we don't need it. We have great furniture.
Right.
But the universe knows you want it. And the evidence, this is so key. And this is straight Esther Hicks. This is not the evidence that you have the fact that you have a desire is the evidence that it already exists in the vortex.
Right. It's already yours in some timeline
It's
because
yeah,
you're
it's
drawn to it in that way.
right. It's
And I
already
think that a
yours.
lot of the guilt, and tell me what you think of this, we have a very negative connotation sometimes about people who focus on materialism, people who are wealthy, people who have money and don't use it for what we think are good things. And so us thinking maybe I want that makes us feel guilty, like we're, doing something wrong by wanting to be in that world that we point the finger at and go, those people over there.
Right.
Yeah.
You hit the nail on the head. That's a chapter in the book that I'm writing, those people.
Mm-hmm.
Because oftentimes we feel better about our guilt and our shame when there's those people.
Mm-hmm.
As long
Judgment.
as
I just
there's
did a show on judgment this past week.
yeah,
When we look at those people over there.
as long as there's those people, then we're better. We
Right.
feel better.
Right.
We can sleep better.
And we don't realize we're doing it. It's not like we're
No,
horrible people and
no, no,
thinking
no, no,
that
no.
in our mind. And yet that's how we justify not embracing
Mhm.
our own abundance.
Exactly. I mean, literally, and the guilt actually prevents the universe because we all know where your focus goes, energy flows. And literally, we say, I don't want to focus on wealth. But here's the point. It's not about focus. It's actually about opening both doors of the hallway so that the universe can give you what's already coming your way.
Right.
It's already yours. You don't have to do as we often hear. You can't get it wrong and you can't get it all done. It's
Right.
already coming to you. The only reason why you don't have it is because you're stopping the flow. And
Right.
everybody knows that when you are guilty and you stop the flow, that nothing grows in a pond, in a
Mm-hmm.
stagnant pond. But there's life all around a flowing river.
Right.
So that guilt, we have to allow ourselves. It's all about guilt is always, it can be killed with one, allow yourself to say that out loud. Admit to people, I'm worth it. I'm worthy. I deserve that. That is mine. I am, and oh my gosh, it's that's a chore in itself. To
Yes.
admit that, to say I'm enough.
Right.
And if
I
then
am more than.
I'm
I
more
always
than
say
enough.
I am more than, because being enough is like having just enough money to pay that bill. I am more than, and there's
Yeah,
no cap because it's infinite. And
exactly.
so guilt is one of those things that
Right.
blocks that other door. As you say, it's a hallway with a door at each end. The abundance is already, I mean, it's right there. It's in your house, in your hallway behind that door. And our guilt is one of those things that puts that door there, blocking it. So number two, we'll jump into excuses.
Excuses. Now that leads right from guilt because we give ourselves all the excuses, and I'm not talking about the excuses. I'm not talking about excuses that we give other people. I'm talking about the excuses we give ourselves.
Yes.
We give ourselves all the excuses why we aren't, why we don't deserve. And if you notice and you really dig deep, all of those excuses are external. The reason why I didn't get the raise is because they want something different at my job. The reason why I'm struggling financially is because of the economic climate or the laws that's being passed or who's in the White House. The reason why I'm struggling in this way financially is because of where I live. There's not many jobs here. The job market's bad. I can't get a raise. It's hard to sell my house. You know, everything. The prices are on the rise. Inflation is we blame externally, but here's the key about excuses and blaming externally. Whatever you assign responsibility to is the only thing that has the power to change it. So when you give the power to change your circumstances to the White House, to political parties, to the economic climate, to your boss for passing you up for promotion, to the where you live, to your life, to your spouse, to your mate, to anything that externally that you give the power or the reason or responsibility for where you are and how you are, then you have to wait for permission from that thing to change.
Okay, see, now that's a big one, you guys. That's
Mm,
a big one because if exactly what he's saying is that it's about personal accountability. And while all of those things can play a part, we also made a choice to get us there. And one of the things I talk about a lot is what we did yesterday and the choices we made manifested as today. And what we do now manifests into our tomorrow. So if you're sitting around and blaming all of the external things, not to say they don't influence, but if you're saying those are the reasons, then you are literally giving yourself permission to sit in this space and wait for one of those things externally that you can't control to change. The one thing you can control is internal, is you, is being accountable and making different choices while you're in this moment, which I call waiting with purpose. When you wait with purpose in the space that you're at, you are preparing yourself and manifesting the tomorrow that you want to see. And excuses are going to keep that from moving forward. I like that, Gerald. That's a good one.
yeah, the excuses really, that I like to say excuses are the stop sign to the universe's deposit into your life.
Okay.
They actually tell the universe, wait, 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 wait. No, I don't want it. I don't want it. When the universe is already on the way, you
Right.
know, and
Right.
we,
Because
we,
it wants you to realize that it's you.
Right.
The universe is constantly giving you those lessons. And what it'll do is if you believe that those excuses are the reason, it will give you 50 more of those reasons to hold you up until you realize, wait a minute, it's me that has to change, not the things around me.
Exactly. It's literally the postage stamp. So I that's one of the things that I teach from ground one is that when you assign blame for wealth or lack of wealth or lack of money, that's literally the postage stamp that you put on your abundance. So the universe will send your abundance to wherever you say the reason for your current state is. When you say it's me, your abundance comes to me. When you say it's over here, then it goes there. That's literally the postage stamp. That's your statement of declaration.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Okay. So
Okay.
the next one, let's jump into that's a really good one, you guys. I hope y'all are like making little notes. If you're not, you can reach out to Gerald after the show. I have all his information. I'll share it with you. Okay. But right now, let's jump in. Now, here's one. I talk about this next one a lot, but I'm not sure if I talk about it the same way you do. So I'm very interested to see how this works in. Holding on to negative people.
Yes. This is a sticky one for a lot of people for a lot of different reasons. And the two that I find that translate into wealth more often is that we have emotional ties and emotional relationships to people that sometimes aren't going where we're going. And I'm gonna describe it like this. Oftentimes we put the weight of a permanent relationship on a temporary, seasonal relationship. Sometimes that person was just meant to get you through grad school. Sometimes that person was just meant to get you through the first year of college. Sometimes that person was just meant to get you through your 20s. But what we try to do is one of two things. Everybody has their own path. And sometimes we drag people off their path to go on our path. And the grade of the steep of the hill that we're going, we don't have the vehicle to carry both passengers. So we
Mm.
end up stuck at the bottom when our wealth is at the top.
Mm-hmm.
And what we have to do is two things. One, you have to accept that all relationships are not permanent. Some relationships are seasonal. Two, you have to understand that the universe handles the what and the how. We are only supposed to handle the why. That's the passion of what we do. It handles the how and the what. So oftentimes when it comes to negative people, that's a telltale sign that sometimes that's time for your past to part. Now, I need to say this. This is so very important because some people grab this and run completely to left field. It's not you divorcing yourself. Okay, we can't be friends anymore. Don't call me anymore. That is not it. It is not, you know what, we can't hang out anymore because you're a negative person. That is not it. Because that's not actually connecting at your highest self. And only your highest self can access the ATM of your wealth.
Oh, I like that. Only your highest self can access the ATM of your wealth. That's a good one.
Right. So, in dealing with those relationships, you have to exit relationships as gracefully as you enter them. Because actually, the currency that that the universe deals in is connection. It
Mhm.
deals in energy. That's the currency of the universe. So if you exit as gracefully as you enter, understanding that that season you outgrow people, your paths go different places. It's not for you to say that I've outgrown you, I'm better than you, you've outgrown me. That's not the point. You're supposed to deposit into it and let that tree grow. Now, here's what happens if you allow people, negative people, that you have outgrown, and that's people, places, things, and jobs. People stay at jobs way too long. Good Lord. I talk to way too many people. They're like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I just gotta stay at this job because I don't know how I'm gonna make it. You know what? The universe is already piloted. Can you jump? Just jump. Doesn't matter whether it's out of a plane or off a piece of paper. Just jump.
Right. Yeah, they're like a security blanket, right? The
Yeah.
job is a security blanket.
Yeah.
The negative people are security blankets,
Yeah. That's
or
all it
even not
is.
even negative, but people who do things in one particular way and you feel safe, even though you kind of know this
Exactly.
is not to my highest good.
Your
Now, I
soul
always
might.
say they're there to teach us something, but once you learn that, sometimes it's kind of like now is the time to move forward. Doesn't mean you can't be friends with them anymore, but it does mean that don't use them as your security blanket and I can't do it without them.
Right. Just what you said. We literally are so terrified. And the first three that we use, the guilt keeps us in those relationships, keeps us
Mhm.
with that friend. I don't have anybody to talk to, so I'm gonna call that person because I want to revert back to the comfortability of how I used to express myself instead
Right.
of the new growth that I have and welcoming my wealth and being attracted in that way. The universe is bringing new people to you, bringing new people to you. No, I don't I keep my circle small. I have the same friends I've had for 20 years. I don't bring new people into my circle. Yes,
You're
that is
limiting yourself, right?
right.
Now, Aida has a question that's kind of off topic, but she wants to know if there's any graceful way to exit. If you have a suggestion for
I You know what?
that's a good
I
question.
love that. And let me tell you, I have done it really, really badly, and I've done it really, really well. The best way, the three elements of exiting a relationship the right way is three things that I believe. One, don't talk from your head, talk from your heart. Your head has nothing to do with this. Your soul has to do with this. And trust people enough to know when your soul is talking. When your soul connects with their soul, they will feel it.
Right,
The second thing, remember that they're human and that they are a soul, and you two are connected through energy.
right,
So talk to them the way you would talk to yourself, or talk to them the way you would talk to someone that you love. Three, respect yourself enough to realize that they may not understand or see it.
right, right.
But
And
you
if I
have,
could add, Aida, when we change ourselves, when you start putting these things into motion and embracing that, oftentimes they organically fall off in exactly the way they should because they're drawn to us because of our issues. So their issues and our issues fit together. When you heal your issues, you're a different shape and they don't fit in with you in the same way anymore. So they will either shift with you, which is beautiful when they can change with you and you can do it together, or they will fall off because they don't fit in with you anymore. So I mean, it's a little off topic, but but it's very, it's a very good point because people have friendships, like you said, from 20 years, 30 years, marriages and mothers and sisters and family that you can't necessarily exit from, but you can change how you relate to them and what parts of your life they are immersed in.
but that's key in wealth. Because think about this, guys. Do you really? I mean, really, are we going to go on vacation with Warren Buffett?
No.
We can't really go on vacation with Warren Buffett, not because he doesn't like us or we don't like him, but we cannot take the same vacation because we're not in the same tax bracket. I have friends that I've loved, but they can't afford to go on the vacations I go on because we're not in the same place financially. And there's situations that I've just like you said, they've organically fallen off because sometimes they think, oh well, you know what, he's living differently now, so he's those people now.
Right. Somebody
And
brought that up earlier about how they've always worked towards wealth, and some of their friends that don't have as much make them feel bad, make them feel guilty. So this addresses that exactly. And I'm sure that person is still watching. So thank you for pulling up that comment. It was way at the beginning of the conversation. So
right,
that's exactly what she's dealing with. Right. So
exactly.
let's pull it to number 4, and that is anxiety.
Anxiety is one of those things, and I've got a little exercise for this so that people can use. I like to say anxiety when it comes to wealth. Oftentimes, anxiety is like sitting in a rocking chair. You got a lot of movement, but you're not going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
That's what holding anxiety is.
Right.
Literally, when you have an anxiety, when you're looking at your bank account and you know you have 6 bills, you have enough money to pay for, you staring at it is not going to change that number.
Right. Very
And you
true.
focusing on that is going to attract more lack to your life.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to just attract more. You're holding up a flaming symbol for the universe to say, "Oh, she's focusing on that. Let's give her more of that." That's what anxiety does. You beat yourself up with it. That's when you feed guilt. That's when you feed shame. That's when you come up with all the excuses of why. Pardon me. You come up with all of that stuff. That's
Mm-hmm.
when you make the phone call to the negative person that you let go 6 months ago, so you can actually get back and put that sweater back on of
Right.
blame, shame, and
You can
guilt.
commiserate, and yeah, exactly.
Right.
And they
And
feed it, and they justify, they give you excuses, they justify that anxiety that you have and tell you it's okay that
right.
you should be feeling that way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's all anxiety does. And it manifests, we all know that we're all energy, and it manifests physically in your body. Anxiety in and of itself causes high blood pressure. I'm not a medical doctor. I just went to medical school, but it manifests a lot of things in our bodies. And it
Right.
shows up in our relationships. We know that the reason for divorce is infidelity and finances. Those
Right.
top two reasons. And
Very
that
true.
anxiety and finances, it's not because people don't get divorced because they have too much money. Never happens. I promise you. Never happens. Never
If
happens.
they
We
have too
have
much
too
money,
much.
there's some other reason. It's the
Right.
infidelity, right?
Right. We have too much money and I can't be with you anymore. This is over. No, never in the history of the world. But I will tell you, when you're struggling and you feel that the other person isn't as worried and they're just floating along and you're like, I'm taking all of this on myself. Then those excuses start. I'm the only one that's worrying. Then that blows up in your head. That really blocks the wealth. Because again, I go back to the point. You gotta sit with the fact, be well with the fact that everything that you've ever could have wanted and not even said, the universe is already created and is in your vortex and has a stamp on it and is coming to you. The only reason why we don't have it yet is not because we haven't, and I say it this way, you have to be a millionaire before you become a millionaire, which means you have to be your highest self before you can access the bank account of your higher self. And that's what anxiety does. It actually keeps you at a place where you go into the bank of abundance with the universe, but you don't have a photo ID. They are not going to give you any money.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And
Very
that's what
true.
happens to us. We go and try to make a withdrawal, but we're not our higher self. We don't
Right.
match the picture.
Right. I always say that anxiety is when you sit in a space believing you're upset about the what if. It hasn't happened yet. You don't know that it will happen. It's one of 1,000, outcomes, but you're going to worry about all those outcomes that don't fall into what you think should happen. So it's like going to the bank and thinking my money's not going to be there for me. It's not going to happen. And you're too anxious. You go, forget it. I'm just not going to do it. I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
And then you
Yeah.
back out of the bank and you don't even show them your ID. You're just like, I can't.
It's that exact thing. And literally, when we understand that, I don't know how we're going to get here. I don't know how we're going to handle this. I don't know how we're going to take this trip. I don't even know how we're going to get to where we're trying to go. Hello, you're not driving.
Right.
You're not driving.
Right. Right. Now,
Because
Mabin's talking about income tax time here. She says it gives her anxiety because she doesn't even know what to do with it. So that's something that you do on the nuts and bolts side. So honestly, Mabin, I would suggest you reach out to Gerald if you're not quite sure what to do with it. And I'm going to put that information up at the end. I love Mabin. She's adorable. I just think she's the sweetest thing. Okay, we're going to move on to number 5. And this is something I talk about all the time, the negative inner narrative. And we have a friend who's on one of the groups that we are on jointly, named Mary Josephine, and she calls it the inner asshole.
Yeah, there you go. That's
And
perfect.
not to curse too much here at the Academy, we try to keep things classy and all, but I'm probably the least classy person on the channel, so I guess it's okay. We're on the late night.
We're on the late
But this
night
is all
edition.
about talking to yourself in a nice way. And I did a show about this like a week ago that said, who's listening? When we talk to ourselves, we're listening. The universe is listening, but we're also the ones talking. So I want to hear how you connect that with blocking the manifestation of wealth, because I'm fascinated.
You know what? You hit the nail on the head. Whose voice do you hear more than any other voice in the history of your lifetime? Yours. I say it over and over again, and I think that people really don't grasp the concept. You hear every single word you have ever said.
Yep.
It is recorded in your brain. And I listen to people. I hear people. I go through. I go through coursework with people, and I do one-on-ones, and they're like, "Okay, I'm abundant, and I can welcome this into my life, and I can do this." And then an hour later, they call me. You know what? I forgot to tell you this right here. Oh, wait a minute. You know what? Don't tell them not to call me back because I don't have any money. What? We just did an Why would you say that?
Mm-hmm.
Because what happens, we do affirmations, but then come right back with, I'm sick and tired. I'm sick and
Right.
tired of this job. I'm
Right.
sick and tired of feeling this way.
Right.
Uh, Tell them, we can't do that. Don't you understand that it's not payday yet? I don't have
Right.
any money. I don't have
I'm
the,
never going to get ahead.
yeah,
I'm always going to be a loser.
we can't
Someone
catch,
else always gets it. I'm never the winner. I'm never the one who's going to make it ahead. I believe me, years and years of that. So I hear you.
yeah, as soon as something goes wrong with the car, I can't catch a break.
Mm-hmm.
Well, guess what? What you're saying, yeah, you spent that hour with me, but the other 24 hours, the other 23 hours, you're hearing yourself and
Right.
you're getting what you're asking for.
Exactly.
And literally, we have to it boils down to awareness. We have to be so meticulously detailed about what comes out of our mouths
Yes.
because we hear it, the universe hears it. And most importantly, I say this all the time, we often think that it works in this order. If we do, then we'll be, and then we'll feel. If I do the thing, then I'll be at the level place that I want to be at. I'll be financially sound. Then I'll feel grateful. I'll feel whole. I'll feel like I'm. No, no, no. It works the opposite. You have to feel first,
Yes.
then you can be, and then you do.
Yes. Living backwards in time.
It is. It's
Yeah.
literally flipping the dichotomy of time on its head.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I like to say, it's living outside the sandwich slices of eternity. That's what it is.
That's so funny.
I literally that's what it is. And with that negative self talk, it is. You would be amazed. You would be literally amazed how the faucet of abundance just comes rip roaring into your life when you allow yourself to feel,
Right.
when you stop the negative talk and you actually, and it's I really want to stress that because oftentimes we get wrapped up into the affirmations. I'm gonna say this 100 times. It doesn't it doesn't matter it doesn't matter how many times you say it, but it's what you feel. And that's why the negative self-talk resonates because we talk negatively because it's what we feel. I
Right.
feel like I'm never going to catch a break. I feel like we're struggling with this light bill. I feel like this cell phone bill is too high. I feel like my children don't respect and love the fact that I take care of them. I feel like nobody's grateful in this house. You're saying what you feel.
Right. Right.
So we need to actually change that. and change that talk and that speech and resonate with the feeling. Now, granted, you're going to talk a lot less.
Yes. And you're going to do a lot of corrections. That's one of the, you guys who are here, my show is Unleash Your Light, and it is simple steps. One of the steps is be nice to yourself. And literally, when I do that show, I say every time you say something that is mean, you have to correct it to yourself. Every time you say something horrible about yourself, I've said the most vile, nobody can insult me because I've said more vile things to myself than any other person ever could.
Right.
Now, what I change that to is don't say anything to yourself that you wouldn't say to a divine energy, because that is what is inside of you. You are speaking to God, Gaia, the universe, the source, creation, whatever the heck you like to call it, that piece of it that dwells inside of you. That's what's listening when you speak to yourself in a negative way. And it's that discussion. The thing about the manifestations, it's that discussion. You have to believe it. The last step in Unleash Your Light is have faith. And that doesn't mean be religious. It means believe these loving things that you are saying to yourself in all of these manifestations and all of these discussions that we have. You have to believe it and love yourself and embrace that divine essence inside of you. And that's such a huge one. I mean, that's probably one of the hardest things. It's actually my very favorite topic to talk about. And it's unconditional love of self. And that's one of the reasons why I was so drawn to Gerald and his message, is because he's taken these. I never made the connection between the blockages towards abundance materially. And I always kind of went, whatever, I don't need any of that. It's all about the ethereal, and it's all about the emotional and the energy. But realizing what he said about it being a hallway, and there's a door at each end, and it's already there. And it's just about removing those blockages through that same unconditional love of self, through healing those beliefs that we have about wealth and feeling that it's not for me. That's another level of negative energy towards yourself and self-loathing that needs to be peeled away, that many of us in the spiritual community, we try to grateful ourselves, like you said, grateful ourselves out of it and ignore that it happens, and we don't need that, and I don't need money. It's like I said, the hippie thing, hey man, and we really talk ourselves out of it because there's a part of us that thinks that we don't deserve it, or that there's something bad about wanting it, about wanting to be abundant, when really it's what the universe wants for us. It's what the universe wants for every one of us, so that we can fulfill our purpose. That's why I was so excited to chat with Gerald. We are coming up on we're actually past our time. We're way past. I want you to tell people how they can get in touch with you. I have your website at the bottom, and talk a little bit about the services that you offer. People can reach out for the nuts and bolts stuff and for the stuff that we talked about a little bit deeper with what's going on tonight.
You can reach me at the Pimpleton .agency. Literally type it in, the Pimpleton .agency. That's my website. You can actually go on there and make an appointment. You can just press the button, make an appointment. My appointment schedule is there. And I actually help people from A to Z. If it has to do with wealth, if it has to do with money, whether you're a business owner, whether you're a housewife, whether you're trying to put a kid through college, whether you just had a baby, I literally help people from 1 year old to 99 years old, because of the simple fact that it affects everyone. Literally. So if there's any questions, anything from taxes to building a business, tax shelter, anything. And I need to say this. You don't have to have money for me to help you, because the problem is that the facts is that you have money coming to you. My job is to help you get it. And I will say this, I say this with every single client. I only do three things. I either find you money, make you money, or save you money. I do not take your money. No one on this live will write me a check for actually consulting with them.
Very nice. Very nice. Did you guys hear that? I want everyone to go to the Pimpleton agency. At the very least, check it out. If you're interested in having a conversation with Gerald, you can hit the scheduling button. I also want to invite you, and I'm going to invite you on Gerald's behalf, but you can go to Gerald's page and
Yes.
friend him.
Yes.
And I think that that would be a great thing. I always invite people to friend me. And so I think that it would be great. Gerald puts up a lot of spontaneous lives. He puts up a lot of great information. One that I saw it today. I almost posted in this thing, but I wanted to save it, was that 15 ways that you can make money passively without even paying attention to it. And I was like, oh, I could do like 6 of these without even like spending too much of my time. So
Literally.
I'm going to be working on that myself, I think.
And I will plug this really quickly. I've been asked, I did it one time last year. I will do it one time. I'm going to do it in January. I do have a 14-day program. It's 14 hours, and it's a financial fitness program. And I actually go through nuts and bolts. I give you PDFs. I give you literally everyone that went through that program last year came out with $2,000 they didn't start with. And they came out with 4 streams of income. I will walk people through that. And that is something that and then from that course, I take you into one-on-one coaching for that.
Beautiful.
I will put that up next year. I will do it one more time.
Absolutely beautiful. So you guys should definitely friend Gerald. He'll
Yes.
go back in the comments and chitty chat with you guys and answer your questions. So if you have questions, you're certainly welcome to type them in. Once again, you can hit up the pimpleton.agency and make an appointment to have a little chitty chat one-on-one with Gerald. I am so grateful you came on with me because I've always felt like that was out of reach for me. And being the woo-woo person that I am, even more so in the hippie that I am, I really felt like that was beyond me. So when I saw you speaking, I knew I had to bring you on because I know a lot of people here feel the same way. It's hard for us who try to live in the 5D to shift that energy into the 3D in more than just emotional. So it's really exciting to have you here. If you guys know someone who needed some help, please share this video with them. Don't put it on their wall and put them on blast. That's not very nice. But send it to them in a message. Invite them to watch it. I hope you guys had a great time. Gerald, I'm grateful. Thank you so much. You guys can always find me right here at the Akashic Academy on Thursday mornings with Unleash Your Light, as well as my website, unleashyourlight.org. I have a group. I have a website, Unleash Your Light. Are you sensing a pattern? I think there's a pattern here. I'm gonna put Gerald's site up one more time. You guys can make an appointment to chat with him. Gratis, no charge. You get a little 20, 30 minutes to chitty chat with Gerald and kind of map out what you need. And thank you so much. I hope you guys have a fabulous week. I will see you all on Thursday. Thank you so much, Gerald. Stay on with me for just a moment. Thank you, guys. Everybody have a fabulous week.